Hello. The time crystals resonate with the stuff that's happened. So what's up? Hey yo, new Dinosaur just dropped. Researchers on the Isle of Wight have discovered a new species of dinosaur dubbed the Vecchipelta barretti. It's named after Professor Paul Barrett, who mentioned that any physical resemblance is purely accidental. I'm going to be clear, this dinosaur looks badass as hell. It's got armor and spikes. I want armor and spikes. I would crawl around, and the predators wouldn't come after me because the spikes on my back are too spooky. However, this dinosaur was an herbivore, despite looking metal as hell. Just all around, kind of a chill guy. It is Juneteenth in the United States, a holiday that marks the day that slaves in Texas were finally informed of their freedom. More than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation went through, these remaining slaves were finally informed. And so that's kind of marked as the end of slavery, but also there was still slaves in Delaware and Kentucky for a while after that. But it's okay, because the Fed finally acknowledged it as a holiday in 2021, a few years after slavery ended. It's only one of the most pivotal moments in the history of this entire country, but you know, why should we call it a holiday? Anyway, I hope you have today off, and if you don't, you should go yell at your employer, because you should have today off. You should have every day off, also. I should be your employer. Have a good vacation. Anyway, before I move on, I should also mention that Juneteenth is not a new thing. It's just, it was only recently recognized by the Fed as a federal holiday, but it's been a thing for quite some time. Anyway, Texas Governor Greg Abbott passed a law that just kind of removes the right for municipalities to make their own policies, kind of in general, but also specifically. The bill is linked in my newsletter. It is essentially 5 pages of just, here's a bunch of things that municipalities are not allowed to override the state on. You know, that classic small government vibe. Notably, one of the things this will prevent is allowing municipalities to have their own code for, like, how much water a worker can have on a job site. In the Texas heat, heat-related on-the-job deaths have been starkly on the rise in Texas, and the governor is now taking steps to make sure that doesn't get changed. Supporters of this bill turned around and said that that's up to OSHA to fix. You know, the federal agency. Again, real small government vibes. Anyway, I don't know why I'm even mentioning the small government vibes, because we all know that that's not what this is about. Calling out politicians for hypocrisy is a waste of time, because it's not about morals or having some sort of justification. It's just about power. They do not care if they are being hypocritical. It is not even anywhere near their radar. It does not matter. So if you're in Texas and you see people working in the heat, maybe bring them some water, because the state would rather them just die. But also notably employers. Like, the employers could do this voluntarily, and they're not. And that's why the state has to come in and say, hey, stop letting your workers die. Ugh. Moving on. Reddit bullshit continued. I'm sorry. I promise I won't rehash all the same things that everyone is talking about with Reddit right now, but I do want to talk about the fact that now that Reddit has pissed off a lot of their old school core users that post most of the content to the site, a lot of those users are fleeing the site and deleting everything they left behind. But this is the interesting thing. Reddit seems to be trying to get back all that stuff that those high-value users have deleted by just undeleting it. Some stuff that is years old has been undeleted, including thumbnails referencing things that just don't exist anymore, like videos that have been deleted off of Reddit. This is a reminder that just because you hit delete on something somewhere on a site doesn't mean it's gone. This is why privacy laws need to be stronger. This is why you should own your own data, because companies can tell you, oh yeah, it's gone forever, don't worry. Oopsie doopsie, it's back. Anyway, since the last time I talked about this also, the CEO of Reddit has cited Elon Musk as his inspiration for the new direction of his company. He looked at what Musk is doing with Twitter and said, that's a good idea. This is going to keep happening. I don't know what to tell you. On this day in 1586, English settlers fled from a failed colony on Roanoke Island. It was the first attempted colony from England in the New World, and they didn't get along with the locals. They were starving, they didn't have a lot of supplies, and their resupply ship was delayed. So they just kind of fucked out of there. Eventually, the resupply ship came back, and they just found an empty colony. Notably, before all this happened, the English took a native back to England, and they were like, look at all of our stuff. A year later, they took the native back home, and the native went to his tribe and was like, we need to resist colonization at all costs. Lightning round. Biden has officially hit the 2024 campaign trail, and he's trying to pose himself as like a strong labor candidate, despite having forced unions to go back to work instead of striking. The Federal Reserve is hitting pause on their interest rate hikes, so maybe someone can afford a mortgage ever. You might remember when I talked about a research boy who was living underwater for like multiple months. He has finally resurfaced after 100 days. We love that for our good research boy. Here's the weather. We got another look at the live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender series that Netflix is making, and I remain deeply concerned. The Fox News producer who ran the Chiron that I talked about on last Friday's episode has resigned or was thrown under the bus. We don't know. And finally for today, a judge has ruled that drag shows are protected by the First Amendment, citing that public spaces are public spaces. Thank you so much for watching today's episode of Stuff Keeps Happening. Head to stuffkeepshappening.online for sources, bonus content, and even more weather. Today is Monday. I'll be live at 2 p.m. Eastern Time at my Twitch account. Link is in the description below. My name is Endeavorance. I'll be back on Wednesday. Take care and be well.